Good day, everyone. So, Honkai Star Rail gets a limited free 5-star character, whereas in Genshin we're getting not a whole lot. Now, a lot of you have already heard all of the opinions, all of the memes like Genshin could never, and all of that. So, I'm here obviously to give you a bit of a different perspective from what you usually hear. And I think before we get into that, let's just talk about why Honkai Star Rail gives out a free limited 5-star. I think one of the things people need to realize is that the developers and the people that market the game and the game directors and so on are obviously different from Genshin. So for them, they've got a different goal in mind. If you have this linear game that you can't even jump with your characters, you have to keep and run like a tight ship. You have to constantly give people motivation to play. And I can definitely see that in contrast to a big open world, why they would want to rather like give people like a freebie now to then obviously give a bit of hype or to encourage people to save and really then go and spend out in like Honkai's 2.0 version. That to me makes like a lot of sense from a strategic and marketing perspective. But this still doesn't really say anything about Genshin. Why not just give a limited free 5-star to Genshin? So here is going to be my perspective. One of the things that I think unfortunately happened with Genshin is that from the ground up, it wasn't really ever properly designed. So what I mean by that is that we have all of these artificial features like the stamina system or the fact that your characters can drown in the water, a lot of things that really make life very, very irritating in the game as for players. So what Genshin should have done right in the beginning is they should have said, before you play this game, check, you must like tick here in terms of the terms and conditions that any free character we give you is subject to balance changes. Now, at first you might be like, well, why would anyone do that? But here's the reasoning behind all of that. So if you have a freebie, a free 5-star character that you're allowed to adjust and that you can give to players, what you can do is actually listen to players' feedback in real time, and you can adjust the abilities of this character to meet those needs. So if you find that people are all really like irritated by some aspect of the overworld or the bosses and or the mobs that send Inazuma are too difficult, you can easily provide players with a real-time solution. And if you find that the character obviously encroaches on some of the viability of your limited 5 stars, you can just like I don't know, tone them down. That to me would make a lot of sense. So the point I'm getting at is, if you release a 5-star character for the purpose of helping players, for the purposes of, let's say, running experimental features and gathering live data and seeing how receptive players might be to the idea that a character could walk infinitely on water, for example, then suddenly you can achieve a couple of things with Genshin. You can have two-way communication where people's feedback can directly be tested, and you can see, does this make sense in the context of the game? You can test out experimental features, but more importantly, you're still like responding to players' needs as and when it happens. In fact, I can easily imagine a situation where as you progress from region to region, you get this non-gacha free 5-star character, which is not a traveler, that essentially can just be used as a like almost like a dummy character for Genshin to help you out if there is a problem for a majority of players. So the whole point of all of this is to say that there's got to be a purpose behind giving you the 5-star character. And Honkai Star Rail, it makes sense. There are not a lot of imaginary characters that can do like damage and stuff. So giving you a free imaginary character, in addition to the fact that the other one is like on the standard banner, or the other one is like that insane DPS or whatever, makes a lot of sense for Hoyo. And I think in Genshin Impact, that's what we need. We need not more junk that you need to level up, but we need characters that can meaningfully add to the content. If we were given a free Navia, then you know that her balance at C0 is going to have to be significantly toned down. But more importantly, then this version of Navia would just be like, well, a junk character, because I need to now level her up, and ultimately nothing changes. I'm still going to go and play TCG, which doesn't care for whether you've gotten a free 5-star character or not. I'm going to go and play the Fungi event, which doesn't care if you get a free 5-star character or not. I'm going to go into the Spiral Abyss, in any case just use the Xiangling National, because that's the only game mode that Hoyo's given us. You have the same mobs for 6 weeks and so on, so it doesn't really matter if you get a free 5-star character or not. Anything that's got to do with promoting longevity, experimentation, making the game fresh, assisting players, that design, that real use case for giving you a freebie and encouraging you to keep on playing, that's what's missing from Genshin Impact. So I'm not really convinced that Hoyo would really do us any favors by giving us a freebie. In fact, like with Aloy, if they do give you a free 5-star, you can know that it's not going to be good. The only free 5-star character that is actually good is the Dendro Traveler. The rest of them, for all intents and purposes, suck unless you happen to do, I think, 3 or 4 Spiral Abysses ago, where you have C6 characters and you use the Animo Traveler in a very specific situation to change the infusion or the swirl priority from Cryo to Pyro. There was like a really bizarre niche case for that, but other than that, like, nobody uses the free characters in any meaningful way, and I think that's what I want to kind of talk about and say, that if we do get a character, that character must be meaningful. From what I understand, and I could be wrong about this, the character you're getting in Honkai Star Rail can actually provide you with a lot of meaningful value, never minding the fact that it is a limited 5-star character. So if Genshin were to actually do this now, what I think would be best for them to do is to say, if you've played for a year, you can get a choice of any free standard banner 5-star character. If you've been playing for 2 years, you get the choice of any limited 5-star character. If you've been playing Genshin Impact for 3 years, you get the choice of any limited 5-star weapon. And I think that in and of itself would encourage players to say, aha, I'm playing this game, I'm not getting what I want, but if I just hold out for a month or two, I can then get the character of my choice. I think from an incentives perspective, that would make a lot of sense, and it's probably the most inoffensive way for Genshin to introduce this into the game as a way of appreciating and rewarding players. Because if we're honest, something like the AR60 rewards just they don't mean anything. Like the whole, we vote for Genshin on the Game Awards and I give you a couple of Primo Gems, it's not meaningful. And I think that's my biggest problem. I want meaningful content in Genshin Impact, and if you're just going to give me free junk, then honestly that's more insulting. So yeah, that is my perspective on the whole situation. I think from the ground up, Genshin should have been designed differently and would have lent itself far better. But yeah, there you go. That's my workable solution to actually rewarding players, which is something Genshin still does not do. In any case, let me know what you think. Hopefully you've listened to the entirety of this video. Certainly watch out for some of the comments that only looked at the title, only watched like the first minute and completely missed the entire arguments. It's always like fun to read those. In any case, thanks for watching. Cheers.